When I was asked to share my reflections on today's readings, I was immediately struck by the words spoken about Jesus in today's gospel. He's out of his mind. Or as some translations say, he is crazy. Some of our beliefs that others might think are crazy. Imagine the burning bush that Moses encountered, totally consumed by fire and yet not destroyed. Or turning common bread and wine into Jesus' body and blood. And what is crazier than the truth of Jesus' resurrection after being dead in a tomb for 3 days? Indeed, God's ways are not our ways. As a matter of fact, even Jesus' less insane messages are still pretty countercultural. The truth is that following Jesus means going against many of the things our society says are priorities. And yes, even many family members and friends are likely to question the choices we make in the name of gospel living. Today's reading from Mark ends with Jesus clearly stating, "Whoever does the will of God is brother and sister and mother to me." I don't think his intention in this passage is to disrespect his mother and other relatives. Rather, Jesus is stressing that doing the will of God must come before all else. We are invited to ask ourselves, how am I living as a peacemaker in my workplace or neighborhood, where competition is often the name of the game? Or am I able to embrace grief and mourning, recognizing them as evidence that I've experienced what it is to love and be loved? Our society will try to convince us otherwise, tempting us to believe that achievement, success, and power lead to life. Again, however, Jesus tells us that his purpose is to give life in all its fullness. Personally, God has called me to experience life in all its fullness by inviting me to live consecrated life as a sister of St. Joseph. In a world that promotes self and materialism above all else, I have professed vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience. And yes, many people think I'm out of my mind. In vowing chastity, I've given my life to God in a way that challenges me to be inclusive of all people. The love I've been given and that I share with others is not focused on a spouse or children. Rather, it's discovering and living in the fullest way possible the Stephanie that God has created me to be, so that others may also come to know their fullness of life and love in God. By living the vow of poverty, I'm invited to live a simpler lifestyle in which my income and belongings are shared communally in order to support all of my sisters and to further our mission. And finally, by vowing obedience, I make decisions based not on self-will, but on the good of the larger community. As Sisters of St. Joseph, we strive together to discern God's will for us, not only as individuals, but as women who have made this commitment together. Is my choice better than that of a married person or a single adult? Absolutely not. Today's second reading tells us that we are all called to live for the glory of God. How we do that is going to be unique to each of us. Jesus put love of God and God's mission first in his life. And yes, many thought he was out of his mind. Well, if my role model and teacher was said to be crazy, who am I to desire otherwise? I have come to discover that a life lived for God is truly better than I ever dreamed possible. Is it easy? No, but it sure is worth it.